Morning, everybody. Jim Feist and Hank Goldberg here in Las Vegas. And Hank, you and I had about the same kind of week. We didn't do very well on Saturday, but Sunday and the pros were awesome.
I was 7-1 yesterday.
Oh
yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Well, I had a lot of the late dogs, and the Rams were my best bet. But the one game that disappointed me was Atlanta. And their defense was horrible, and I think the coach is the defensive coordinator for them. They need a defensive coach because their secondary was brutal. You know, Brissett completed 16 straight passes in that game at one point. And they had no answer for the Indianapolis offense passing game, and actually Ryan, after he threw that pick in the end zone early, came out and played very well after that. But I had some observations, even with the teams that won. Starting with Dallas. Against Miami, it wasn't easy, although they got the cover. But they have no pass rush at all. I think they only have 2 sacks all year. And that could cost them as the season goes on. They've got to develop some pressure on the quarterback or they're going to be in trouble. And they've played some easy games so far, and it gets a little tougher this week. The other team that I was a little disappointed with, although they won, was the Rams. And I think the coach is very stubborn, and he did a couple of things yesterday that bothered me. You know, he was determined to run. They came out in the second half and started running the ball with Gurley, and Gurley started to run well. As soon as he got into his game, he benched him and went to the other back who didn't run very well, and he didn't put Gurley back into the game and took him totally out of his continuity. And by the time he put him back into the game, he had lost his stride or whatever it was that had carried them early in the second half that had put them in a good position to take the lead in the game. I don't understand the way he's using those backs. Once Gurley got going, he should have left them in. And they were going up against a secondary that had 4 new starters, and Goff couldn't get it going against them. Finally. But he kept running the same patterns over and over again, which made it easy even for that green secondary to defend him. I thought their play selection was bad, and it took them so long to get it going. They have not scored a touchdown in the first half this year. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. Maybe these teams just take, the preseason. They don't play anybody, and maybe it takes.
This is the third week.
Yeah, maybe they need a little bit more. I mean, there's been some sluggish events. There's a lot of unders. You notice how many unders there are? I mean, it's just
yeah.
The offenses just aren't gelling, which is good for me because I bet a lot on unders. But.
So my point is that, this guy's supposed to be such a genius, and, his offense was badly exposed by Belichick last year at the end of the season, and I don't think he's learned his lessons yet, and, they bother me some. You give, the guy who can really coach him up and is Sean Payton. They went into Seattle, and Bridgewater played pretty well, but he uses his key guys very well. And his running back was sensational yesterday against the Seattle defense.
Yeah, Kamara was great. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I had them yesterday. And,
Seattle.
The 3 games I picked on. I went 3 for 3 on ESPN.
Oh, that's great.
On my picks this Thursday, so. That's 2 out of 3 weeks that I've gone for 3 for 3 there.
They gotta love you. They gotta love it. They gotta love it. What do you think of all the young quarterbacks? Which one stood out positive and which one stood out negative to you?
I'll tell you who was negative is the Broncos have a problem. That guy's a turnover machine again. He really killed them, Flacco. And by the way, the Patriots didn't cover because they took Brady out of the game, and Stidham threw an interception that cost them the cover. Jacksonville's young quarterback has played well. The Steelers quarterback is not very good, although he did throw a touchdown pass in the game and kept it close enough for a cover. But it was their defense that got them the cover, and they're in trouble, and they're 0-3. Let's see. The young quarterback for Carolina played well against Arizona.
He really did. Kyle looked really, really good.
Yeah. And Buffalo's quarterback is playing well. They beat the Bengals yesterday. They're for real, Buffalo. They're going to win a lot of games this year. Next week,
they play New England next week.
In New England. The Houston quarterback is playing well.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's not old. They beat the Chargers on the road, and then there's my man from Duke. Got his first start with the Giants.
He looked really good, and he did well. And
he's got mobility. He's a threat to run or pass. His passes were on the money. They survived the late field goal missed by the Buccaneers and came out with a win. And he's on the road, and he's unflappable. Nothing bothers him.
Yeah,
but their defense is bad.
We've got a bunch of kids under 26 years old that are now starting quarterbacks, and there's a real change in the NFL this year. This is a transition year. It's pretty exciting, actually.
You've got injuries too. That's part of the problem. Bridgewater played well. He's not a kid.
No, but Sean Payton designed a great game plan in there. And Seattle is not playing all that well this year. I mean, they struggled against Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, even with Roethlisberger out. And then yesterday they were not. I mean, Russell Wilson's awesome, but the rest of the team is not all that much. And they got a problem with Carson. He keeps putting the ball on the ground. He's lost 3 fumbles in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem.
Denver has a big problem with, they didn't play all that badly. At times they were close with Green Bay, but Flacco kept turning the ball over again. No surprise, I guess. Well, the Green Bay defense is pretty good right now. But I'll tell you something. Minnesota played a big game, and their running back is probably playing as well as any back in the league, getting away from quarterbacks for the moment. As long as they rely on him and don't put too much pressure on the quarterback, they're in good shape.
That's a big game coming up this week. I mean, you got Chicago tonight at Washington, and then next week, Minnesota at Chicago. So that's going to be a big division matchup. And speaking,
not as long as Trubisky's playing for Chicago.
Yeah, they got. He has not developed. It's amazing. He really has not developed. There's
a young quarterback who's not playing well.
Yeah, you're right. There were a ton of bets on him to win the most valuable player award. I think that was insane. I mean, he's not even close to being that kind of player. But
I thought what was interesting this week was the fact that people who parlayed New England and Dallas didn't win.
They didn't cover. The one Dallas.
Well, they didn't because Belichick took his guys out in the second half, and his backup quarterback threw it an interception that went for a 63-yard return.
Well,
and that's why they didn't cover.
Did you hear about the guy that walked into the Jersey casino and put $500,000 on the Browns last night?
No.
$500,000. I mean, and the book took the bet. I mean, and that's unbelievable. Huge.
I don't blame him for taking the bet.
Well, obviously they have the money to back it, but I mean, that is huge to make that kind of a bet. I mean, it's a huge bet.
Well, this is a dumb bet.
Yeah, it was a dumb bet. It definitely was.
You know, it was interesting the way the number fluctuated on the Baltimore game, and I'll tell you what interested me about that game. You know, I called you about this Vegas Insider because of their system now. The game was 5.5 when I called in, and I said I would take Kansas City but I wouldn't give 5.5, and they would only take the play if I would use their number, which was 5.5. And I said, well, in the past I could say if the number went to 5, lay the price. So I wouldn't give the 5.5, which turned out to be a smart move because the number landed on 5. Game eventually went to 4.5 because for whatever reason it kept going down because of the Baltimore money that was coming in late. But Jackson did not throw a touchdown pass in the game.
No, he didn't. He's still a young guy. He's developing. He's got a lot of talent. But Mahomes is the story there. This guy is amazing. He is amazing. It's if you give him time, it's practically impossible to stop him. He can throw the ball 50, 60 yards in the air without a problem.
He can run too.
Yes, he can. Yeah. We got a changing of the guards in the NFL. It's very exciting, very interesting. I got to shape up my college game. I didn't have a good college week, and it was kind of embarrassing.
How'd you like UCLA?
Oh, but I had the loser in that game. I had Washington State.
So did I.
Oh God!
I thought I was home free.
There was a guy here last night. That had a 5-team parlay, $500, 5 and change. He had a 5-team parlay, and his last game was Washington State. He would have made over almost $11,000, and he actually turned the game off and went to bed because they were up 49-17. And
they were up 32 points in the middle of the third quarter.
He woke up to find that he lost the bet. Oh my God, that was unbelievable. Tough way to lose.
Well, what was really amazing was that Morgan threw 7 touchdown passes in the game that broke the record from his predecessor, who is now playing for Jacksonville. And they still lost. Yeah,
that is remarkable. I don't know how the hell you do that, but I guess UCLA got a hold of a lightning rod and just went for it because they haven't been playing well at all. But that was a bad Saturday. Sunday was great. Sundays have been really good.
Notre Dame, by the way, played a heck of a game against Georgia.
They did. They covered. They played well. We got some interesting games coming up this weekend, but we can dig into those.
And college, I couldn't find an interesting game.
Last week or this week?
This week.
Really?
Coming up. When
Well,
I looked at the schedule, I didn't find one game that was, a great matchup.
Well, I know one thing. I'll have a lot less plays this week in the colleges because, that's what I do. It's if I'm out of sorts, out of stroke, so to speak, I'll cut back on my plays. I might have 3 college games for the week, and just keep plugging away on the pros because they're working well. Knock on wood. So, and baseball, we're just finishing up the baseball season, and the playoffs start next week, and that will be interesting. That will start getting exciting.
I guess the Cardinals clinched.
Yes.
So they're in.
Yeah, there's some teams out there still fighting to try to get in that wild card situation, but be that as it may, I'm excited for the.
I think there are 2 teams National League that got in already.
I think Tampa Bay is still trying to get in. They got Snell going today. They're about a 2-1 favorite. They're trying to sneak in. I mean, it's a long shot. They're not. And there's a couple teams that are still battling to get that wild card. But when we get down to it, what are the Yankees going to do for pitching? They lost Germán. They can hit the hell out of the ball, that's for sure. But their pitching's, man, they have trouble in that department.
Well, they got a few guys who can play who are still there. They had a pretty deep staff. A couple of guys who had come back off the injured list.
Severino.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, losing Germán didn't help, but
no.
That. Yeah, if they run head to head into Houston, that's going to be. I mean, you got some arms on the other side. Houston's got some all-star guys.
Yep.
Well, Hank,
they're not going to beat Verlander.
I don't know how they're going to beat Cole. I mean, they're both great. Cole is just, he mows them down. He gets so many strikeouts, non-contact stuff. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to the baseball playoffs. But,
meanwhile, Stanton is back in the lineup.
Well, I don't know if that'll do any good. He has a tendency to strike out an awful lot. But I'm not a big fan of his. I think he's very overpaid, and his strikeout ratio is way too high for me. I like somebody who gets contact.
Well, he's been hurt, but he certainly hit a lot of home runs last year when he was healthy. And he's when he's in the lineup, it really helps their lineup because you got to be wary of him.
Oh, yeah, he can hit it. That's for sure. Anything you want to cover before we sign off, Hank? Is there anything special you want to go over?
No, just the Thursday night games have been so bad; they're kind of unplayable. I don't know what they're going to do about that. And the officiating is an issue we discussed last week, and there were some bad calls again yesterday. There was a call in the I think it was in the Rams game where they called they called an interference, actually they called illegal contact when the guy didn't do anything. And even the announcers looked at it, and again, the official in the booth said that there was nothing that happened before the ball was in the air that would have dictated. And what happened was it eliminated a penalty that would have given the team a first down, and instead it eliminated a sack, I guess. That would have been critical in the game, and they took away the sack because of the illegal hit or whatever it was in the secondary. It was barely there and should not have been called. They could have turned the game.
Well, these officials' calls do turn these games. I mean, it's bad. It's I'm not sure what the hell you do about it. I just don't know.
Well, I made the suggestion the other day that they find younger officials.
Yeah, that would help.
The dog agrees.
He sure does. He said, get those dogs off the field and bring in some young pups.
That's it.
All right, Hank, have a great day. We'll talk again on Wednesday. Thank you.
Okay, Jim, you too.
Thank you, Hank. Bye-bye. And don't forget to go to the website and sign up for free play each and every day. Just go to the website and sign up. It's that easy. And jimfeist.com for Hank's plays and mine, articles and podcasts. Have a great one. Thank you.